But at the same time, I felt the Lord so clearly in the midst of that speaking, but you will always be dancing. And I think that's what I see a lot around me too, is that thing of either we throw everything into it and we're going to go dance, and we spend all our time and energy on it, because dance and art in general is something that requires your all. Or we go, well, I don't have all of the time or energy in that season of life, so then I should just quit altogether. And I feel like that, it's that thing of like, either I'm just going to be a teacher or choreographer, or like not at all dance, or I'm going to be dancing and like run after this dream. And I feel like the Lord really challenged that inside of me and went like, you will forever, like you will always be dancing, but it will not always look the same. And sometimes you being a teacher is you dancing. And sometimes you being on stage is you dancing. And sometimes you dancing in your living room is dancing. Like all of it is worship. All of it is dance. And I think it took away this thing that we have to achieve all of these things to be called a dancer or to be worthy of going after it. So I think that's where actually my whole pregnancy journey started, was with God touching on this thing where I had set the metrics wrong and just going, dance is the love language I have given you between me and you. Dance first and foremost, because when I dance, I feel the presence of the Lord and his delight over me. And that is where everything can turn back to. So from that place, no matter what I do, it is enough. And to actually also in that season find more fulfillment in like getting to set a piece on my students and watching them and going, oh, I actually feel the same like level of God's presence as that I feel when I dance on stage myself. I think I started to notice through movement actually was in every little moment. Yeah. So actually that started the whole journey, was unraveling this big thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I can feel anxiety as you're talking. Like I'm just imagining myself as a younger version of myself, hearing you and being like, oh no, God did take away her dream. Like the very thing she was afraid of, he did take it away, But what I'm hearing you say, for those who are listening that are like, oh no, that is my worst fear, is that God would say like, look, I'm going to take away this dream, or trust me with your dream, and then I'm going to give it back to you. But it's just going to be a different version. It's like almost your dream, but not quite, and it feels a little bit false, or that I can feel a fear that listeners might have of like, I'm afraid of that happening. I'm afraid that God's going to ask me to give up a dream, and then he's going to give it back. It's going to be packaged differently, but it's actually not what I really fulfillment that you felt of like choreographing. Like that piece I thought was so interesting that you were like, actually felt the same level of satisfaction and God's presence and fulfillment as when I was dancing.
Yeah. I think that was a new experience that I hadn't felt before. And I think there's something so like magical and supernatural about being on stage and dancing together. Like that to me, the moment where I get to create with the people around and partner with heaven and like release a dance piece into the audience from the place of being on stage, always was a really special feeling. And I hadn't actually experienced that in other areas of life. I think that's something that art also carries, it's just such a beautiful, like heaven feels so thin when you create. So I think that I had to go back to okay, like, what is really the thing that I dream of in being a dancer? Like, what really is it? And I think some of it is the I love continually moving, but also it's like chasing almost those experiences, those moments where you get to like, there's nothing I think more like, well, to us feels like magical than being on stage and getting to give something. That feeling, I think most dancers can relate, that you have after a performance is a really special feeling. I think I started to notice that exact feeling would come in other areas of my life. And like, it would come in other moments of dancing, and it would come when I choreographed, and it would come when I was teaching, and it would come when I watched my students dance a piece on stage without me being on stage. And I was like, wow, I feel that exact same feeling. And I feel heaven and the Father so close the way I experience him on stage. And I think it just changed a little bit of my like, something internally shifted. I don't even know how to describe it, but I felt that like thing of always having to chase that big dance dream, and it's never enough. Because let's be honest, a lot of times with the dance dream, it can feel like it's never enough, you know, and you got to do this thing, but it's not enough. I remember a couple of years ago, at some point, I went on tour with Adem for like 5 weeks in Europe. It was fantastic. It was so beautiful. And it was hard coming back from that and going, oh, but that's not my everyday reality. No, going on tour in Europe is not my everyday reality. I don't think it will ever be, like, I don't think it's realistic to be on tour 12 months of the week. And God also going, but Lise, you also dream of a husband and you also dream of a family. Like, I think actually putting things in perspective and going, because a lot of dancers I talk to, they dream about dance, but they also dream about family, and they also dream about marriage, and they also dream about like things in just like other areas of their life. They dream about financially being stable. There's so many things, right? That I feel like sometimes God has like helped me shift a little bit and go, can you look at that experience on tour and go, that was so beautiful. Thank you, God, that I got to experience you and give you that way. And now I'm back in Reading, where my dance opportunities are a little less, and I'm a little bit more of a teacher and a choreographer, but I get to be with my husband and I get to minister together with him. And that part of my life is also a dream. So I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like God just started to shift a little bit around. But I also, he was very clear that he said, you can't take out like the dancing dream outside of you, like the thing that I've called you to be, to also actually yourself be on stage and share the pieces that I want to share through you. That is still going to be there. And I think that was a key too. So instead of me going, oh, okay, I'll just put the dance dream of being the dancer yourself, to say like, I'll put that completely away. I think God was like, no, you are not allowed to, but you just have to be okay with what it's going to look like. That means that if I remember that summer after this moment and encounter, I went to Zion and got to dance really cool pieces and just loving it. And then started a company here in Reading like last year and getting to do performances with them and starting to feel like, okay, it's almost like I've made those opportunities myself with the Lord in this space. Yeah, I think just rephrasing, this is what it looks like for me. I don't think it will look like this for everyone. I very much believe you can be a professional dancer and a mom if you're willing to make the sacrifices in that. For me, that's not what my life in Reading looks like. It looks like being a teacher and a choreographer, and then having built a dance company that allows me to dance myself too. But yeah, I think just going, I trust that what the Lord has for me is best, but it is best spiritually, emotionally, and physically. It's not just best physically. And, his heart for me is not just dance, it is also family. And that means that sometimes he will get me the things that I dream of, and sometimes it looks different because he knows the other dreams in my life too that are important. And the result is that I feel like I live a very healthy, sustainable life. I live a sustainable life in what I get to do, in my time, in my energy, in my finances, in my marriage. And I think that is important too. So so if you're here and you're feeling the anxiety and you're feeling the fear, just like lean into trusting the Lord, because if you step into exactly what he has for you, it actually will fulfill all of you, not just that one part.